Welcome back to Echo, and last we saw Chase and Carl were hanging out at Flynn's house with Flynn and Daxton. Flynn all of a sudden decided to leave after getting a text message. So let's find out what that message was and where he left. I stare at the unmoving ceiling fan above me. In the dark, everything looks all grainy. It seems like the lights are still on, but the dimmer is on low, so might as well not be. Might be a salamander thing. Speaking of, him and Carl aren't here anymore. I try to recollect how much time has passed since I closed my eyes. It feels like just a minute ago. As I rise to stand, I feel kind of sluggish for some reason, like my legs are still asleep. My face feels kind of numb too. I always feel worse after taking a nap. I'm not really sure I get the appeal of taking them once a day like my mom does. Moving to the nearby window, I squint at my reflection. I look like hell. And who shaved off my goatee? I blink. It's still not there. I'm not that heavy of a sleeper, so I would have felt someone doing that. I don't think Carl's that cruel, is he? I turn, peering towards Daxton's room. His door is open and his bed is empty. They left me here? Why? My phone vibrates in my pocket. It's Leo. I'm coming. What? I text him back though. I seem to have caught a case of the Flynn. My texting dexterity is awful right now. Everyone left. I think I'm alone at Flynn's now. While I'm at it, I also send a quick text to Carl and Flynn asking them where they are. A vibrating noise comes from the kitchen after I send Flynn's message. He must have left it when he went out. I walk into the kitchen to see the phone propped up against the key bowl on the island countertop that Flynn swatted earlier. The screen's brightness illuminates everything around it with a picture of my face. It's low resolution, like he cropped it and stretched it himself from one of my social media pictures. The photo is from a class trip I took sophomore year to the Carbird Caverns. I'm wearing a hard hat that doesn't fit. The way the phone is propped up, it almost looks like it's on display. It's a weird way to place it. I know I shouldn't snoop through his phone, but if he wants to act all mysterious and dismissive, he's leaving me not that much of a choice. Also, someone shaved my goatee off. That warrants enough of an emergency, I guess. I tap the screen and my message appears. I'm asking where he is and telling him that everyone left. Tabbing back, I see one other message. The rest seem to have been deleted. It's from someone named Ryan. He has no given profile picture. The bar is at 33 South Aloe Way, off of Hankley and Route 93. Winky face. Hankley and 93? I think that's by the casino, near the edge of the reservation. I spent most of the day looking at a map of the county, so I think I have a good spatial sense of where it is now. The question is, why did Flynn leave this here with just this message on it? It's like he wanted me to find it. He wanted me to follow him. Jesus, does he think I'm that much of a snoop? Because apparently I am. This time it's my phone that buzzes. Another message from Leo. Hey. Huh? I type a quick response. Have to go. Sorry, Leo. I shove my phone back into my pocket and head outside. It's actually nippy out in comparison to the heat of the day. Sheet clouding covers about half the sky above, and there's a tinge of humidity in the air. Which is surprising. We usually get less than an inch of rain this time of year. Another text? Leo again. Are you serious? I sigh, putting my phone back and getting my keys out. I'll think of something and apologize later. I don't feel nearly as sluggish as I did before, thankfully. Once inside my car, I put the keys in the ignition enough to keep the inside lights on while I fiddle with the GPS. 33 South Aloe Way. Got it. It looks like it'll be about 20-minute drive according to this thing. Dude, where are you going? I look over. Carl and Daxton are staring at me through the passenger window, concerned expressions on their face. Well, a concerned expression on Daxton's face. Carl just looks drunk. What? Where have you guys been? With you? Why the hell did you guys shave off my goatee? Dude, are you like allergic to Havarti or something? It was actually Gorgonzola. That Havarti Flynn wanted was sketchy. Carl smiles lopsidedly at Daxton. Dastardly. What are you? I reach up to grab my chin, feeling the familiar scruff of dark brown hair upon my paw pads. I feel my heart start to thump heavily in my chest. What the hell? Daxton opens the passenger door. Are you sure you should be driving? You're kind of wigging out, no offense. I angle the rear view mirror down towards me. Sure enough, there it is on my chin. I'm sorry, I could have sworn that it was missing earlier. Well, you were sleeping. It could have been a nightmare. I read all about that stuff online. It's your subconscious playing out your deepest desires, man. Carl slurs some, looking a mix of dazed and chipper. I don't think so, Carl. But look, are you guys coming with me? I think Flynn wanted us to follow him. Yeah, we saw the message. They did? I don't know, he's kind of a private guy. If we're wrong, he's going to be pissed. Pfft, we could think of it like an away mission. Even in the dark, I can practically feel Daxton cringe. Oh god, Carl. Hey, I don't know, I'll go with you, but I'll hang back in the car. I'm still a bit reeling from the whole facial hair fiasco, but the banter is making me feel better. Well, you could be tactical support. This is why I don't usually share my interests with other people. Carl clambers into the backseat first, nearly toppling over. Daxton climbs up front, a little tipsy, but he seems to have most of his motor functions intact. Lucky I don't have classes on Fridays. I squint, trying to peer beyond what is illuminated by my headlights. Driving feels difficult right now. My nerves are kind of fried, tingling beneath my fur. I end up overcorrecting on every slight turn. It doesn't help that the shitty state highway is so meandering and completely devoid of light. Out here, even the main stretches of road sidewind around the hills and mountains. I guess I'm used to Pueblo where there's just flat or tunnel through everything. My issues right now also seem to be stemming from the fact that I'm a little inebriated. Fuck, I used to be so damn hard on Leo whenever he drank and drive, and now here I am. Maybe I should have brought my meds. Veer right in, 1 mile. Jace? I loosen my grip on the wheel some, peering into the rearview mirror and catching a glint of Carl's green eyes looking back at me. This feels familiar, don't it? I furrow my brow. I'm not sure what he means. We were both just starting high school. Huh? I don't know what you're talking about. Carl doesn't respond and a silence follows. He stares out the window with a gaze lulled, his phone sitting idle in his lap. Daxton's looking curiously at us now, though when neither of us speaks up, he goes back to picking at the planet print on his shirt. I feel kind of like I'm sneaking out to go to a party or something. He looks over at me with a slight smile. Well, we might be? We're gonna drive to this address and find Flynn in a gimp suit surrounded by a warehouse full of rubber ducks. Carl lets out a quiet rumble of a snicker. Yeah, man, this is all real familiar. We pass the flat concrete pad where an old gas station once stood. Again, I think Carl is about to speak, but he says nothing. I don't get out much, you know? Around here, there's not much to get out to. The salamander rolls his shoulders, then shakes his head. I could always drive to Peyton. I've got my scooter. It just doesn't feel worth it, you know? I mean, not just gas or monetary reasons. It just isn't comfortable to be away from home. I've got basically everything I need. And I got that Prime delivery account that drops off groceries at my doorstep. It's weird how easy it is to feel like that's normal. I'm surrounded myself with books, TV, and video games, and the fact that I'm alone in the middle of the desert doesn't even affect me. You've got Flynn for company, don't you? We keep to our separate sides of the houses usually. Sometimes almost a whole week goes by without me actually seeing him. There's always the internet, dude. You got online friends and all that stuff for gaming, right? Daxton adjusts his seat, giving himself some leg room. I post on fan forums pretty regularly. I'm a moderator. Let me guess, for at Astra. Yeah. Give me your phone. Daxton blinks. What? Carl makes a grabby motion with his paws towards Daxton. Just give it to me for a second. Daxton clutches his cell to his chest, looking uneasily towards the drunken ram. Don't worry, I'm not gonna go through your messages or nudie pics. Who do you think I am? Chase? That one stings a bit. Ass. Daxton slowly relents, keeping close eyes on Carl as he gives him his phone. He taps at it in silence for about 15 seconds before passing it back. There you go, you got me on your contacts. I also put my username for games and stuff if you ever want to play together on the PC. Oh, thanks. The salamander quickly checks the screen before looking back to Carl. I'll send you a message or something when I get home, if you ever want a game, or if you can hook me up with some ice cream. Carl makes a fluttering noise with his mouth. Ice cream boy at your service. Dude, man. Service. Daxton titters some, shaking his head. Was just kidding with the last part. I wouldn't ever do that. I mean, you must get sick of hearing that all the time. Carl shakes his head even after he begins speaking. Nah, I don't tell people that shit very often because, you know? Though, I totally will hook you up. I used to do that for Flynn and Leo, but then Flynn went on this whole health food bullshit. And Leo, I don't know, he stopped asking. Veer right. My arm stiffens and I swerve onto the off-ramp with more gusto than I meant. I feel the other's eyes on me and I try to act casual. Looks like this is up ahead. Kind of out of the middle of nowhere, isn't it? This isn't the reservation yet, right? I look towards the horizon and I can make out the familiar glint of the Blue Diamond Casino past one of the rolling hills. Everything out here is in the middle of nowhere. But no, the reservation is on the other side of the casino. Do you guys ever go there? No, I'm not much for gambling. I bet gunskins on ranked matches sometimes. That place is mostly really for old people, packed in their RVs. Flynn and I were talking about it the other day. They painted the ceiling all blue sky-colored, don't display any clocks, and simulate sunlight inside. Trick the seniors into staying longer. That's messed. Capitalism at its finest, dude, man. Is that my nickname now? What? Dude, man. It sounds like Daxton. Most people default to Dax. Your destination is ahead in 400 yards. Carl seems like he's about to say something, but quiets as we all see our destination. Oh, jeez. I turn off the road, the loosely packed gravel seeming to scatter under my tires. We're here. It's a long red building. The exterior is mostly dilapidated, the wood siding falling apart in places. I can see only 2 windows, both of which have colored construction paper blocking the view inside. There's no signage indicating what the hell the name of this place even is. Well, at least not right now. It looks like there is some broken neon lettering along the roof's edge, but I can't make out anything legible from it. There's about half a dozen cars packed behind the building. Flynn's truck is the only one out front. He's here for sure. The salamander reaches into his pocket and, to my surprise, pulls out Flynn's phone. When did you grab that? Daxton cocks his head at me, holding up the phone. Right after we looked at it. I rub my forehead. Were Daxton and Carl really inside the house with me earlier? I just didn't notice them. Are you okay, Chase? Nervous about talking to Flynn? Just pretend he's in his underwear. Then intimidate him with your erection until he's no longer mad at us for stalking him. The ram nods sagely, giving me a bit of a serene look. I stare back at him. That's how the gays work. I read it on a blog site. He holds up his phone. That one with all the gays. I feel myself smirk a little. I'm fine, guys. I just had a weird nap earlier. Still getting my brain unfuzzed. Cool, but Carl looks back towards the building. I'm still gonna chill here in the car. He clears his throat, sitting more upright. Tactical support. Daxton covers his face with his dark hands. Cadet Hunter and Lieutenant Daxton, prepare to beam out. Thanks, Captain Carl. Make sure to, scan for life signs and report any anomalies. Oh, God. Daxton exits the car in embarrassment. Oh no, man. Lieutenant Daxton beamed out too early. His particles are destabilizing. Jesus, I hear enough of this stuff moderating the roleplay subforum. I don't need to hear it IRL. He walks up to one of the front windows, seemingly trying to peer inside through one of the gaps in the construction paper. I open the door, about to head out, when I feel Carl's paw on my shoulder. Hey, man. I blink some, looking back at him. The parking lot light overhead gives his fur a sort of orangey appearance, and his eyes look blue. You've been, really quiet tonight. I know I haven't been around you in 2 years, but you're still acting, I don't know, weird from what I remember. Carl, just don't worry, okay? He looks to the building. You know how he gets, but overall, Flynn's cool. He leans back in his seat, pulling up his phone. The illuminating blue glow of the screen replaces the faint orange of the street lights. Just don't tell him what I said. I exhale, smiling despite myself. All right, Carl. I turn around, pausing. I know you have your interview, but we should talk later. Catch up properly. You know it, man. And I'm glad you're getting on well with Daxton, truly. I see him grinning in the rearview mirror. It's weird. He's like someone I met online, but like in real life, you know? I'm not sure I follow. Meh, don't worry about it. Don't get murdered in there. I smirk dryly. I'll try not to. I step out and nearly close the door on my tail. I must have been more distracted than I thought. Seeing Daxton against the side of the building, I can't help but think he looks downright eerie. He doesn't have scales like Flynn, so he's just this rubbery black color that blends into the shadows, as specious as that sounds. When he turns towards me, his eyes stick out like headlights in the light. Hey Chase, check this out. He beckons me over to a small metal sheet by the door. I step closer, some words are engraved in the front. So you've heard of us. A winking smiley face is pictured below the text. What the hell? I know, right? He moves towards the door, his thick tail flicking but in an anticipatory sway behind me. I'm surprised he can control that thing. Watch it be locked. Might as well try. After you, Lieutenant. Don't start. He grabs the handle and the door opens with ease. Daxton looks over at me once more and we step inside. The smell of decades worth of cigarette smoke and dust hits my nose instantly. Daxton coughs, trying to muffle himself as we see the shadows of various patrons throughout the dimly lit bar. Everything near the counter is illuminated with a sort of green tinge while the rest of the establishment has red lights. Well, in the places it does have lighting. I've never been inside a restaurant or bar this dark before. The walls are mainly decorated with faded 1950s beer adverts, and a mounted CRT monitor near the entrance looks to be streaming an old cricket match. I don't see any bartenders or waiters. Nobody's behind the bar. Huh. Daxton half speaks, half whispers. Maybe we should take a seat so it doesn't look like we're gawking. Yeah, good idea. We move towards the closest table in the entrance. The location leaves us completely enshrouded in the darkness. There's a lamp above us, but it looks broken, the copper wiring hanging out where the bulb is supposed to go. I haven't seen Flynn yet, have you? It's hard to see in here. I sort of assumed salamanders had better night vision. No, not yet. Squinting, I try to get my eyes to adjust to the darkness. Two large figures get up from their bar stools and head towards the pool table, each grabbing a cue. They both appear to be equine, middle-aged and male, decked out in polo shirts and slacks. The two wouldn't look out of place in a country club greenway, but here they stand out something fierce. I realize that there is a much smaller person behind them, a fennec girl with big, lengthy head fur that goes down to her shoulders. One of them, the one with the teal polo with a beer gut, sets out a rack of pool balls on the table. The other horse with the red polo and graying muzzle fur speaks up, shaking his head and pointing towards the balls in the triangle. I can't make out everything, but it sounds like he's insisting that the 8-ball always goes on top. The teal-shirted one lets out a dismissive tone, making a point of placing the 8-ball somewhere in the center of the rack. I feel my phone buzz in my pocket. Quickly reaching down, I check the message. It's from Leo. We're all gonna hang out at your old hood tomorrow at 2. Would be good if you came. I sigh. That same welling of guilt takes hold in my chest, like stones in my ribcage. More text from the evil X? I glance up at Daxton in surprise, the salamander having turned to face me. Again, I'm wrought with how fucking eerie his bright eyes, sticking out in the blackness and staring right at me is. He's not evil. He's misunderstood. You folks get all super angsty every time he texts you. Like, an X is just that, an X. You don't gotta worry about them anymore. Daxton crosses his forearms and rests them on the table for a moment before hastily pulling them back. He grimaces, wiping his arms on the fabric of his shirt. Looking down, I can see that it's been a while since the surface table had been properly wiped down. There's no napkins inside either. I peer at the message again, trying to think of what to say in response. Well, the circumstances are kinda different here. He's been one of my closest friends since I was really young, and when I left town for college, we never actually broke up. Oh. The skin on his face pulls tighter, though I can't make out what expression he's making. So he's not actually your ex, then? We haven't been together in 3 years. Hell, before this trip, I hadn't even spoken to him in at least 12 months. That's not exactly true at all now, is it? The heavy feeling in my chest grows tighter. Look, I don't have time to go over the past 15 years of our relationship. He holds up the flat of his rubbery palms. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to know you and all. He turns back around. Smooth, Chase. I type back my reply to Leo. I'll be there. The sound of a bellied laughter from the pool table catches my attention. The red poloed equine slaps the back of the smaller fennec, who looks to have just made a pretty nice shot. Her head fur flutters in front of her face and then slips right off, falling on the pool table. A wig. I realize now that the fennec isn't actually a girl at all, at least not physically. Daxton saw it as well, and we exchanged a brief glance. The two men don't seem to pay much mind outside of a brief chuckle. Behind them, a red light flicks on and another group become visible at the table to the rear. There's a 30-something German shepherd with a pompadour-cut head fur and a black muscle shirt stretched out taut over his large chest. He's watching the billiard game intently. His arms are around the back seat next to him, and in that seat is Flynn, staring right at me. Fuck! God, how long has he been there? Could he see us this whole time? Daxton sees him too, the salamander forcing a toothy smile and waving at his roommate from across the bar. Flynn doesn't wave back. He just keeps staring. The seconds pass and nothing happens. We just sit here and he sits there. Neither of us moves. Eventually, Daxton pushes himself to his feet and I reluctantly follow suit. Everything goes quiet as we make our way to the other table. I feel a tingling sensation around my whiskers that goes all the way back to my spine. I don't belong here. I can't tell if the pool table group is looking at me, but it feels like they are. Well, holy shit, would you look at that? An otter in my water. The German shepherd speaks up with an accent that sounds more West Coast than Southwestern. He drops his arm around Flynn's chair, beaming at me with his reddish-brown eyes. The canine turns his attention towards Daxton, eyeing him over. The salamander has his hands folded together, smiling nervously. And Daxton! Daxton blinks. Evening. Have we met? The man chuckles. Nah, but I've seen you before, whenever I come over to Scaly Boys' house here. You're always in your room, all alone, or like... Flynn's slitted gaze flicks from Daxton to me. His expression seems to harden before my eyes. What the fuck are you doing here? His scaled fingers curl up into a fist briefly before unfurling, the large lizard fidgeting in his seat. His tie is gone and he's unbuttoned most of his shirt. Okay, play it cool, Chase. I found your phone with the invite to this place. It was all propped up and everything. I say that last part with a bit of an accusing tone. Flynn narrows his eyes slightly. Invite? You didn't tell me you were bringing some friends. That's a first. The shepherd grins again. Tension so thick that you would cut it with a knife doesn't seem to dissuade his cheery demeanor. I didn't. He makes an acknowledging grunt. His gaze flicks between us for a moment. Well, I'm Ryan. You know Flynn, and I know Daxton. So who are you? He looks at me, expectant. Before I can speak, Flynn does. Chase. His tone is terse, bordering on outright warning. Chase! Ha! Fucking otters are so cute as hell. Like you got your wee stubby fingers, plus you're all squeaky and shit. I blanched, not sure whether to be flattered or offended, looking down at my fingers. Ryan just grins, the red light glistening upon the enamel of his fangs. Take a seat, you two. Good to see Scaly Boy actually has friends. Daxton looks down at one of the red fabric chairs with a wary demeanor. Well, as long as they're not too sticky. This elicits a throaty, crackling cackle from the dog. It's part of the charm. Oh, much like yours? Oh ho, fuck me, man. Good one. I take a seat across from Flynn, who is now staring at the wall. Glancing over, I notice that Daxton has been standing with his hands folded behind his back, his posture completely vertical. Just like Captain Amicus does in Ad Astra. The salamander scoots past and takes his seat beside me. He fishes out Flynn's phone from his pocket and slides it over to him across the table. Flynn looks at it for a good 3 seconds before snatching it and shoving it into his pocket. You're welcome. I didn't ask for this. Daxton just shrugs indifferently. Flynn looks at me again, his expression less intense, but still a frown. Hi. A quiet, yet shrill-toned voice pops up from behind us. Turning, I see it's the gender-ambiguous Fennec fox from earlier. They quickly walk past us, tugging lightly on Ryan's shirt. They mumble something I can't quite make out, and Ryan practically coos back at the little Fennec. He reaches up, squeezing her waist, and they make a little "urf" noise. Ryan pulls out his wallet, withdrawing a few bills, and hands them to the fox. The middle-aged horse duo walks up as well, cues and grasp. The one with the red polo bumps into the Fennec, resting a hand on their shoulder. They flinch initially before a sheepish smile forms upon their lips. The Fennec spins around clumsily, nearly toppling over into the table. The older male catches them and keeps them in place. Easy now, dearest cutie. They wrap their arms around the equine's girthy midsection, their paws gingerly patting at his back pockets. Oh, you want some money for something from the bar, sweetheart? Don't know where the tender's gone and run off to. The red polo fetches a 20 bill for the fox, placing it in the little one's maw. They're treating them like a youngling, but the fox looks to be at least 30 years old from the sagging of their face and splotchy fur. Of fucking course. Casey's doing that bidding war bullshit again. Flynn takes a swig of his booze. The older men stare at him, suddenly looking a bit uneasy. Red Polo turns, trying to usher Casey away towards the main counter. However, the fox seems to resist. They squirm, quickly writhing out of the equine's grasp and stumbling their way over towards Flynn, nearly crawling on top of Ryan to do so. Everyone seems to freeze in place as the fox pushes her muzzle up close to Flynn's. Flynn looks dull-eyed back at the Fennec. I don't got any money for you. That's okay, I just want to make you less grumpy. They look at each other, saying nothing. Flynn parts his lips slightly, and the fox pushes her face against his, maws meeting in a deep kiss. His eyes go wide for a moment, then shut tight, returning the affection just the same. My heart feels like it stops. My sweat goes cold. I feel sick, like I want to puke or something. I mean, I had felt sort of a deep gnawing feeling since I saw Ryan's arm around Flynn, but I guess I wasn't prepared for something so visceral. But I don't do anything. I just sit there and watch. Ryan, meanwhile, grasps the fox's rear, grinning that Cheshire way he does. Good to see you're not sourpussing the whole night, Flynn. Are you kidding me right now? Fucking whore. Red Polo turns, leaving his friend behind and making his way towards the exit with a few huffed swears. The teal-poloed male, who is some sort of Shire Clydesdale type, watches him leave but doesn't follow. Says the married man. Casey pulls back from Flynn, a string of saliva still hanging between their lips. Flynn's nostrils flare as he exhales upon the fox's face. This seems to set Casey off, and they kiss him again with even more ferocity. Daxton's looking at me now, his eyes wide, the salamander silently mouthing a "what the fuck?" I don't even have the capacity within me to respond with anything other than a curt nod. Wow, putting on a show for the new friends? Teal Polo is looking down at Daxton and I now. Well, noting the festivities, you youngins want a drink or something? I'm Mike. Nah, we're good. I'll have 2 doubles of whatever tequila is the cheapest. Mike blinks. I'll be right back then, kid. Let me find the bartender. Rob's back in the smoke room, Seabiscuit. He uses his free hand, the one not currently groping the fox's ass, and points towards a wooden door in the corner of the room with a potted plastic saguaro. The smoke room? Mike gives Ryan an uneasy look. I get the impression from his demeanor and the casino wristband he's wearing that he's not a local. Well, I'll be right back then. He forces a smile before turning and heading towards the aforementioned smoke room. Ryan crosses his legs, letting his head roll to side before speaking up. I think we should head there too, right, Flynn? Flynn and the Fennec part lips again. The Gila looks at me before responding. All right. Man, what's wrong with you? All eyes shift to Daxton now. Flynn grunts. You don't get to fucking judge me, creep ass. Watching me jerk off at night, but can't stand the sight of me macking on someone, for fuck's sake. The round-faced salamander's jaw goes slack. Ooh, you've been busted, Daxton. Watching and not helping out is a real grave offense. What the hell are you even talking about? Daxton looks at me. I say nothing, thinning my lips. You know what I'm talking about. I truly don't. Hey, let's not play he said, she said, alright? Daxton, Chase, you like to party? The dog reaches into his pocket. The Fennec turns from Flynn, biting their lip as they begin to lean on Ryan's shoulder. They wiggle their hips in such a manner that Flynn gets a face full of fuzz, the Gila spurting a bit. I'm reminded of the long bus rides home with Jenna and Flynn back in junior high. Not that Jenna acted anything remotely like Casey, though. Flynn would be the aggressor, pulling on her fur and making native jokes until Jenna would donk him right in the nose with a biology textbook. Ryan withdraws a small plastic baggie with about 6 tiny white spherical dots inside. They kind of look like that expensive pebble ice cream that they sell at theme parks. I had always wished Carl's Pants would start selling that stuff, but they said it was just a gimmick, that it doesn't make the ice cream taste better. He opens a little baggie, placing one of the pebbles on the eager Fennec's tongue, then his own. The German Shepherd rises to his feet. He's large, about as tall as Leo. He extends out the baggie to Daxton and I. Before we can respond, Flynn interjects, swiping the baggie and closing it before handing it back to Ryan. Yeah, nah, fucker. You deciding for them? Bit rude, my man. This shit ain't addictive unless you're depressed or something. Daxton's got a heart condition, and I'm fucking pretty sure Chase has got drug tests for summer internships to worry about. Daxton crosses his arms over his chest. Yeah, I'm good. Candy from strangers and all that whole business too. Speaking of... Mike comes out from the corner door with 2 drinks in his grasp. He has a sort of blank expression as he sets them down in front of me. You having fun back there? Ryan quickly deposits the baggie back into his trousers, pulling his chair in. Flynn stands up as well. Didn't have time to have fun. Had to tend to Kid Boozy here. Kid Boozy? That sounds like one of them urban rap types. You spit rhymes, Chase? Ryan chuckles. I look down at myself, then back up. Fuck no, he doesn't. I've seen Chase do cowboy poetry back in school. Not a pretty sight. He looks at me, seemingly uncaring of the fact that Casey is now up all on Ryan and not him. I remember you and Carl got up and did yours about alien abductions and anal probes in the desert, and the principal got all pissed. I let out a little huff as the memory comes back to me. I'm surprised he remembers that. Yeah, it didn't start off that way, but UFO rhymed with lasso, and it was all downhill from there. Anal probes, eh? Ryan grins, reaching over and slugging my shoulder. His angle's off so it's more like a tap than a punch. Daxton lets out an exasperated noise. That was your takeaway from that conversation? You sound like you've got a probe or 2 up yours, Daxton. Or lack thereof. Daxton closes his eyes and rubs the flat of his nose, still looking a bit flustered from Flynn's accusations earlier. I clear my throat, speaking up towards the towering equine beside me. But, thank you, sir. I give the large horse a nod of appreciation before taking a heavy glug of one of the glasses. Oh my god, this fucking burns. My muzzle pulls into a grimace as I try to swallow as much as I can. Eyeing the glass, I only got 1/4 of the way down the double. Guess I'm the designated driver now? Ryan stumbles back towards the door of the aforementioned smoke room. Hey, you won't want to join? We're good, Ryan. Flynn basically pushes Ryan back, shuffling the seemingly attached Casey along with. A long silence follows, and all 3 of us watch them until they disappear behind the faded wooden door. I let out a long exhale, then placed my face in my paws. I don't know what he meant when he said I watch him jerk off. What the hell's he talking about? I can hear the creaking of the seat across from me. Mike must be sitting down with us. I would take it as the highest compliment if someone was watching me beat off. I'm never leaving my room again. I'm assuming you youngins are also new to this dusky establishment, is that right? Mike speaks in a sort of southern drawl cadence that's more bayou than prairie. And if you ain't gonna drink that, kid, I'll gladly finish it for you. I uncover my eyes, slowly reaching for the glass of auburn liquid and bringing it again to my lips. The second time doesn't hurt as much, and I manage to swallow another fourth without any tears. Yeah, this is a first time for me. How did you find out about this place? He crosses his arms, leaning back in his seat. The chair creaks in audible protest to his weight. I was about to ask you the same thing. Was wondering what cute pups like you would be doing in a place like this. I got a couple of meetings down here in Payton, so I stopped by the casino for a few hours with the one-armed bandit. So I have one of them sex applications you download to your cell phones, right? Downloaded that all by yourself, did you? Daxton comments dryly. Well, can't exactly get my nephew to help me with that one now, could I? You could, it'd just be very awkward, much like this whole night. Daxton stares at the wood grain of the table, tracing it with his fingers. Bit rough, yeah? Anyway, I was on this sex application and this feller starts chatting me up, the huffy one I was just with. He was also staying at the casino. He suggested we come down here for some fun, so I followed suit. Place was packed with fanic folk earlier. They all went back there, though. He points towards the corner door. So this place is for gay guys, right? That's most probably the case. That okay with you? A slight smile curls up on the edge of Mike's maw, and Daxton is rocked with a brief stutter. I don't care, you know. You do you, I'll do me. Maybe I'll do you too, eh? Oh my god. Daxton looks like he's been slapped, his tail coiling inward. Mike just chuckles in a bassy rumble. Oh boy, that straightened your curls, didn't it? Did you download that all by yourself? Ha! You sassy little shit. My phone vibrates. Is that, hail from Tactical? Daxton says it as if it was physically painful for him to utter those words. Mike's expression shifts, and he looks curiously at the salamander. I check my phone. It's from Flynn. Come to the smoke room alone. Huh. The empty feeling that had taken hold of me seems to alleviate some, and it's quickly replaced by a whole new sort of anxiety. So maybe he's not leaving me high and dry, after all. But what the fuck is he doing? A hail from Tactical? It's a reference. I hold up my phone. Flynn wants to talk to me, I think. Never straightforward with him, is it? I didn't know kids watched Ad Astra. What? Daxton's attention snaps so quickly back to Mike, it's almost comical. I'll be right back. You can text Carl or something and ask if he wants to come in. I push myself up to stand, realizing my legs feel kind of weak. I hadn't noticed much at the time, but they were shaking earlier, something fierce. There's a no smoking sign hanging from the corner, a little irony, I guess. With a low breath and a straightening of my shirt, I pull the handle and step inside. Is it weird that I like the music that plays in this scene? My feet touch what feels like bare soil. With a quick check, I realize the floors are wood, just laden with layers of dust, grime, and peanut shells. The smell of spilled beer, cigarettes, and sweat is a combination of the likes I've never smelt stronger. I turn and Ryan's only a few feet in front of me, standing in the middle of the room with Casey. They're fucking. Flynn's next to them, his shirt open and belt undone. The lights pulsate on and off in infrequent intervals. Everything goes from pitch black to lit up bright, and of course, there's not a window to be seen. I hear ambient voices around me. A decent amount of people are here, and most of them are completely naked. Behind Flynn, gay porn plays on a crooked-mounted television screen. Speakers and subwoofers rumble with the bassy drone of bizarre music. Silhouettes of people dance in a limp daze. The flickering lights make the shapes look like ragdolls flailing in stop motion. The lights begin to strobe red, and it's overpowering to the senses. Too much to bear. I grab the end of my tail, squinting through the actual smoke. Flynn? My voice comes out more pathetic than intended. The music's so intense I can't tell if I'm being loud or quiet. Everything goes black again. I hear a clap and a cry, followed by a baritone voice. This is what you want. Did Flynn say that? There's a glint in the darkness and I know it's Flynn's eyes. He's not looking at me. His eyes may be aimed in my general direction, yet he's not actually looking at me. But the guy behind him is. Oh, fuck yeah. Ryan cranes his neck some, looking towards me with that big old grin. His long tongue hangs out the side of his maw. Oh hey Chase, come here. I've never been beckoned by a guy currently balls deep inside someone else, so I'm pretty hesitant to obey. Flynn turns away from the duo, facing me. His expression sort of reminds me of how he got when his aunt was talking to him in City Hall. His eyes are a little more open than usual, and his jowls are pulled back along the side of the snout to show teeth. So you showed up. Flynn limply gestures to her surroundings right as Ryan bucks hard enough into Casey to elicit a loud moan. Casey curls their feet against Ryan's own, the only clothing still on their body being striped, thigh-high fabric tights of some sort. Ryan, meanwhile, is still fully clothed aside from his red prick sticking out from his fly and into Casey. A small crowd gathers around the left of the room around something. I can't make out what it is, but there's something moaning in that direction as well. Flynn's attention seems solely on me despite everything happening around him. He's waiting for me to say something. I step forward, letting go of my tail. Suddenly, Casey grabs Flynn's shirt, nearly yanking him over. You now. Flynn blinks, turning to speak briefly to the Fennec. Just give me a minute. This is fucked. I push my paws into my pockets. God, how the hell did I go from watching old sci-fi shows with Carl and Daxton to this? Sorry, wrong door. I turn quickly, trying to figure the weird twisty door handle to get out of here. I hear the rustling of fabric and the jingle of a loose belt. The hands grasp my shoulders, judging from the orange and black pattern. It's Flynn. You can't keep your nose in your own business, you know that? Despite the words, he sounds worried. I clear my throat, trying not to sound too freaked out. Well, you know me, Snoopy journalist. Don't worry, it's not going in the report. You, gonna leave me hanging over here with this, Ryan rests his heavy chin on the cooing Casey's shoulder, giving Flynn and I puppy eyes, even as he bounces Casey on his crotch. You look like you've got it covered. Flynn keeps his hand on me, though no longer as tight. So you did leave that phone out for me to find, right? Flynn rolls his head some, as if debating speaking further. Finally, he looks back down at me. Didn't expect you to bring my fucking roommate. That was awkward as shit, and now I gotta deal with the fallout from all of this when I get home. You're the one that accused him of watching you masturbate after making out in front of us. I'm pretty fucking sure it's him, or at least someone was. He doesn't seem like the kind of person to do that. You never struck me as the sort of person who would be dumb enough to bring him along when I tried to make it damn clear I wanted you. I blink. Wanted me? He ushers me back against one of the walls near the entrance. Looking around, I notice that the clientele seems to mainly fall within two groups. Fennec natives and middle-aged men. Most of them look like generic dads, which makes Flynn's presence here all the more strange. What the hell even is this place, Flynn? I feel the Gilla's weight shift against me as he shrugs. Tits if I know. It's fucking something though, ain't it? It's, you know. He looks at me, seeming to be judging the expression on my face. A fucking sleazy dump. There's a flick of a smile on Flynn's face before lights come back on. It's laden with a tinge of nervousness. With everything illuminated, I can finally see what the small crowd is all gathered around. There's an actual tiger in the middle. The guy must weigh 300 pounds. On his paws and knees in front of him is a rather chubby Fennec, large for his species as well. There's a jar of lard next to them, and the tiger's paw is... There's literally someone getting fisted over there, Flynn. Yep, I know. I wasn't gonna comment on it with you in your fragile mental state and whatnot. He sniffs, staring ahead while looking tight-lipped. Now, how did you even find this place? Ryan showed it to me a while ago. It was so fucking gross. There was like 4 old-ass beavers with balls down to their knees running in the corner. And you came back? Oi, this isn't fucking ritzy-ass Pueblo where there's 12 gay bars within 10 miles equipped with cheap beer and blowjob dispensers. You get bored. And lonely. Flynn grunts and I feel his weight on my shoulder intensify some. So, Ryan's your friend? My voice comes across more curt than I meant. Flynn fidgets. The music gets loud for a moment so we don't speak. He's the friend that's not going to be leaving in 3 days, so he's the friend. A pang hits me deep inside my chest. I go quiet. I thought, fuck it, might as well get all the baggage out and show you what I'm apparently all about and shit. You're all about seedy sex clubs? Well, it's just, I can't exactly go telling anyone else in the group about this shit. Oh yeah, Jenna, I was out at a bar off the res, was fucking some of your people the other night. How you doing? I frown, coughing a bit from the passing smoke. The people smoking inside and the lack of adequate ventilation are making my eyes water. Gosh, she's already furious at you. TJ, do you know what sounding is? Because me and this bull guy did it last week, and he had a cross necklace. Reminded me of you. I find myself cracking a half smile at the hypothetical conversation, even if the other half of my face is still a grimace. Ugh, no way, you don't actually do that, do you? The large Gilla harumphs. I wasn't the one getting it at the dick, if that's what you're asking. I'm a lizard. I don't got big urethras. That's disgusting. Flynn chitters a bit to himself. He doesn't usually laugh at his own jokes, and his tone is actually a bit sheepish. So that's where my missing handheld stylus went. Nah, that was probably Carl. I used one of your parents' cantaloupes for getting off back in junior high, though. Don't remember if I threw it out or not. Again, Flynn fidgets. I can't say I've ever seen Flynn so damn angsty. I'm aghast, unsure whether he's being serious or not, though I might as well counter him. Uh-huh. You sure it wasn't one of the cucumbers? Nah, they weren't big enough for me. To my surprise, he reaches down and grabs my wrist. Look, you obviously ain't warming up to the scene back here. That's an understatement. So, if we're gonna have a talk, and I ain't gonna push you one way or the other for this shit, let's do it outside. I'm not sure what he meant by talk. In fact, I doubt that he's even sure what he meant by talk. Still, it sounds like a better idea than staying back here. I mean, that's what I'm here for, right? To talk to Flynn. Right. Alright, man. I'm okay, but that sounds fine. Flynn gives me a dubious expression. I feel him squeeze my shoulder some. Where are you two going? Ryan calls out from across the room, mid-thrust into Casey behind him. A few people actually turn their heads looking at us. Flynn hesitates for a moment before grunting and shouting back. We're gonna go shit in each other's mouths. I blink. Flynn tugs at my shoulder and we hastily leave the smoke room. Of course you fucking brought Carl, too. We come to a stop just outside the building, next to a small wash that winds by the parking lot. It's amazing how fresh the air tastes in contrast to the inside, though I feel the smoke in my fur even now. The bottoms of my feet are also stickier from the sources I'd rather not contemplate. For some reason, I'm a bit shaky, like it's cold or something. It still feels above 60 degrees out here, though. The Gilla crosses his arms over his chest. His expression remains indiscernible, though his demeanor is twitchier than normal. So am I, though. So you and Carl are like best friends. Why are you so upset that he's here? Flynn frowns. I told you earlier, dipshit. This wasn't supposed to be some big-ass gathering. Never thought I'd say this, but you seem like you're ashamed or something. Which, I mean, makes sense. This place is like... Flynn cants his head some, already defensive. What? Like, stuff you read about, stuff that doesn't actually exist. Flynn waves dismissively, making a sort of disgruntled noise. I don't know what you want, Chase. I got a feeling about what you think you want, but not what you really want. So tell me what you think you want, and we'll go from there. Aight? I dip my paws into my pockets, not sure what to say. Despite the darkness, I can tell Flynn is staring at me with a sort of unyielding gaze. So, I guess we're not gonna shit in each other's mouths then? He snarks, though stifling himself quickly. He knows I'm dodging. Look at me. Flynn bumps his knuckle beneath my chin to ease my head up. I flinch instinctively. I realize my nerves are more shot than I thought. Calm your shit. He drops his hand. I see his gaze flick to the side, then back to me. Please? That catches me off guard. I let out a big breath of air, tugging at some of the fabric inside my pockets. The only person that I've ever had sex with prior to this break was Leo. I'm not really ready for this sort of stuff, you know? I mean, Jesus Christ, I didn't even think you were ready for all that. And you're Flynn, the giant slut. Yeah, I know. We joked about that sort of stuff in there when we were kids. I didn't actually think you'd go this far. Okay, hold on. You're telling me you didn't fuck a single guy for the past 3 years? Yeah. Jesus fuck, Chase. You're an independent-ass adult living in a big city. You're not even that ugly. Your body's got this weird lumping shit going on, you smell like a clogged shower drain, and your soul patch makes you look like a hipster cunt. But you could probably get anyone you wanted. He looks at me like he's going to elaborate on that last remark, but doesn't. Thank you, I guess? I reach up, touching my bit of a chin scruff again. Still there. I get it. You and Leo being together so long fucked you up. You had your little perfect romance until it wasn't. You were 2 gay kids in the backwards-ass shitville. Woe to ya and all, except you weren't the only 2 gay kids. There was one more. Flynn brings his hands up to his temple, rubbing at his brow ridge. He steps offward, moving closer to the edge of the wash. Despite everything, I follow him. I came out to you first. Yeah, and that was fucking baffling. He huffs, kicking a crushed beer can into the sandy loam below. You never took a fucking guess? The curtness of my tone takes him by surprise. He turns my way. His slitted eyes seem to bounce as if he's looking me over. Your horny, 15-year-old ass wanted my dick. I let out a frustrated groan, resisting the urge to shove Flynn into the wash. No, you idiot. You were the oldest, and despite how crude you were, I knew you'd know how to handle it in a way that wasn't, I don't know, patronizing or something. After everyone found out I was like this, people started treating me differently right away, yeah? I was 18, and you were 15. You never took a fucking guess? I furrow my brow, pulling my paws out of my pockets and crossing my arms tight over my chest. I wasn't going to take advantage of some tumultuous kid whose balls just dropped. That moral quandary doesn't stop our supreme group patriarch, though. After that, folks treated you different because you had a big-ass Latin wolf wrapped around you at all hours of the day. Whinge your ass off about that all you want, but you two were fucking just the worst with that PDA shit. Leo bitching about how our group started splitting when we were older like it wasn't his own damn fault. Who wants to be around that fucking stuff every day? I curl my paws into fists. I don't think I could take Flynn in a fight, but a clean punch to the jaw is starting to feel more and more worth it. So that explains it all then? Gay stuff disgusts you? You think you're disgusting, so you cling to places like this because it's what you think you deserve? I adjust my arm out, pointing to the dilapidated red building beside us. You're a self-hating prick. Flynn stares ahead, going quiet as a large semi-truck passes on the nearby highway. Something seems to change in him, like a switch being flicked. After a moment, he blows out a long breath of air before simply shaking his head. Fucking way off your mark. Are you supposed to be a journalist or something? You two ignored all of our asses. Carl was your best friend, and you just fucking dropped him the moment you started riding the dick of Mr. Football. Did wonders for his self-esteem, really. He turned out just peachy, yeah? And TJ, oh man, what a fucking bunch of victims you two were with just overwhelming Christian persecution. Flynn, don't be saying bad words in front of him. He's very delicate. Yeah, I'm the bad guy, but you two took some sick pleasure in insulting him and his nice-ass family because of what he is. Even though you two knew damn well he nor his family has anything close to ill will for any of us dirt sodomites. Then there's Jenna. Remember when you three all used to hang out at Leo's whenever shit got real, fucking off over her? Remember how that just stopped when you two started learning your dicks could go in each other's asses? Remember how shit got worse and worse for her? Remember when she changed her name? Remember when Adam killed himself and her dad did that thing? Flynn steps towards me, hunching down near a foot to meet my eye level. Heard you at least found some time to give her a ride out of town when she finally had to run away, though. Since you and Leo were fighting that weekend. See, when Leo and I fucked, You didn't see him cooing about it to everyone in earshot for the next week. I feel my chest going tight. What? Flynn rises to his full, unhunched height. Without another word, he turns and walks past me. What do you mean? My heart pounds and I follow. Where are you going? He rounds the corner and I try to catch up, but my foot catches on a root. I slide forward and feel my fur scrape the bark. My body flips somehow and my tail strikes the ground first, bending back and launching me forward like a spring. Next thing I know, my whole body is in the air before I feel the dark, sandy ground of a wash bed meet my face. My ears ring, and I feel blood begin to seep from my nose. I lay there, unmoving. As I shut my eyes and feel a sting within them, I realize I haven't cried in a long time. Friday. I bring the tripod back over my shoulder, wincing some as the metal pushes against my collarbone. There wasn't really much left of the old post office, but getting some B-roll of it seemed obligatory with the Pony Express history here and such. As long as I have lots of filler footage to accompany my voiceover, it should be fine. I think it'll probably look a lot better than most of what the rest of the class will present, though that's not a very high bar to surpass. Most probably wouldn't dare work over their spring break. So why the hell am I? I close my eyes, letting my legs lead the way as I step through the tall grass and back onto the dirt road. It's hot today, way hotter than it usually is in late spring. Everything is kinda hazy too, like there's wildfire air blowing downward through echo. Those usually drive my allergies nuts, but so far I'm not feeling too stuffy or itchy. As screwed up as it sounds, I actually kinda like it when it was a big fire in the state. I mean, sure, it sucks sneezing all the time and having my nose feel scratchy, but I love the burning smell. It reminds me of barbecues. It doesn't smell like that now, though that does remind me. I pull out my phone. It's 10:03 a.m. Jenna texted earlier. Chase, Leo wants to set up his grill at the hill behind your house. Around early afternoon, I think. If you want to stop by, you can. When we were kids, sometimes my dad would let us roll our little charcoal grill up there and try cooking ourselves. My dad always said it was to keep a wide buffer between us and the house so we didn't accidentally burn the place down. After Flynn set a bush on fire in our backyard during Labor Day, I kind of understood the sentiment. I exhale, shoving my phone back into my pocket. Interesting, Leo decided to schedule it while Flynn is still working. I bring my thumb and forefinger above my muzzle and press at the space between my eyes. I sniff, smelling the faint scent of musty ash that seems to cling to my fur, even after the shower I took this morning. And just like that, my blood seems to cool. I get that weird stuttering feeling you have in your heart when you remember something you don't want to. Last night doesn't seem real. I can't believe shit like that exists, just past where I grew up. How long has that place been there? It doesn't even have a name. I searched the address some more when I got home, but I didn't find anything online. I mean, I've been to gay bars before in Peyton, usually because some girl I'm friends with drags me there. But nothing quite like that. At least Daxton seemed not to hate it completely by the time we left. Turns out the middle-aged horse guy was an old dastry, the term for people who really like Ad Astra. Sweet Jesus. Daxton and him hit it off pretty well while I was away. Carl, meanwhile, was already passed out in my car by the time we got back. It was an awkward ride home. A strange sense of sad nostalgia takes hold of me as I approach the faded white old brick structure that was my home. The white picket fence that surrounds the exterior is all but gone now. The few remaining posts are scattered all over the yard, some half buried in loose, bared topsoil. I remember Dad always made me paint it every summer, and I'd pitch a huge fit because I hated it. Working in 110-degree weather with scratchy barbed, getting stuck in my pads, not to mention the dirt in the paintbrush. Dad never was happy with how it turned out anyway. He'll yell at me for laziness and doing a poor job. He claimed I had no aptitude for work, first placing the blame on me playing too many video games, then Leo. People are supposed to have a sense of satisfaction in their work, but every moment away from an escapist diversion seemed to make me miserable. I'd coop myself up in my room with a big-ass plug-in fan, watching TV, daydreaming about fictional guys, and eating just an absurd amount of cereal. I sigh as I walk over to the old plot where Mom's garden used to be. According to City Hall, this place is abandoned and condemned now. I step up to the window of my old bedroom, squinting to the dusty glass and spying the familiar turquoise shag rug inside. All the furniture is gone and spider webs hang from every corner. There's some graffiti on the walls as well, a gang sign of, or something that looks like a crooked red number 8. A crooked red number 8? Seeing it, I'm left with a feeling of unease, like the sanctity of what used to be mine has been taken away. I don't exactly pine for the days of being stuck in there. But there's this overwhelming pang of awareness that those times have passed and are never coming back. The worries I had growing up are gone and replaced by these visceral, very adult concerns about money, jobs, and debt. My God, I relate so much. I'll never have a group of friends like I did back then. The sharp whistle breaks my train of thought. I spin around to see the silhouette of 2 figures up the hill overlooking the house. Leo and Jenna. After a moment, TJ walks up next to them and waves. Hi, Chase! I lift my paw up, offering a limp wave in return. Next thing I know, TJ is making his way down the slope, Leo right behind him. Jenna follows shortly after. Chase, it's good to see you again! The lynx looks tired, all things considered, the tips of his fur tinged with the orangish dirt in the area. Still, he's beaming at me regardless. It's good to see you too, actually. TJ cooks his head. Actually? I blink. Yeah, what do you mean by that, Otter? Leo has a stern voice, his eyes hard upon me. I mean, you know what I mean. A smirk appears at the edge of the wolf's muzzle, and he steps up, slugging my shoulder with enough force to sting a bit. Well, astonishingly, it's good to see you as well. I wince a bit from the blow. Leo reaches over and ruffles my head fur. Sorry. He grins a little awkwardly. He seems cheery overall. It's hard to believe he's the same Leo that just yesterday I was hiding in a bathroom cupboard from. I try not to look too tense. Next time, hit him harder. Jenna gives me an edged look, though there's some warmth in her eyes. Jenna. She looks over at me, then glances towards the road. I'm surprised you didn't drive. We found a picnic table in one of the yards of the abandoned houses. We set it up over there. He points to the base of the hill slope, where sure enough an old wooden picnic table sits. And TJ was okay with this? The lynx frowns, digging his toes into the dirt. Well, as long as we put it back when we're done. You're becoming quite the rebel, TJ. I manage to smile at him. He looks slightly aghast, though Leo chuckles. We should put the hot dogs on the grill now. The bacon won't take as long. Jenna turns, making her way over to the table. Is a green portable propane grill, like the one you use for camping trips. On top of the grill are a couple of Ziploc bags. We're gonna grill up these fancy pepper jack hot dogs we got in Peyton and some applewood smoked bacon. That sounds good. It actually does sound good. We even got some tofu dogs for Carl, just like the old times, yeah? I hope you've gotten better at cooking since then. But, where's Carl? Leo shrugs, TJ chiming in. Maybe he slept in. It's kind of early. For him, I mean. We make our way over towards Jenna, Leo's tail wagging slightly as he walks. I set my gear down and peer at the table. The thing is dirty as hell, probably over a decade of dust and weather etched into the wood and metal. I can't remember what neighbor this belonged to. Over the years, there were so many. Usually hippies or retirees seeking to get away from the hustle and bustle of urban and even suburban living. Most became rather disillusioned with the idea of Echo being some lovely desert escape after about a month of living here, though. I glance up at Leo. He looks back at me. He's taking the hot dogs out of the package and getting them up in the grill. The wolf doesn't say anything, and neither do I. He keeps making the same faintly awkward smile whenever I look at him too long. TJ and Jenna have sat down at the table and are digging through the weathered backpack. Jenna takes out some paper plates and sets them out in the small stack, weighing them down with a rock so that they don't blow away. That seems kind of unhygienic. Don't worry, we won't eat off that one. She looks up and over at me. We'll just give it to Chase. TJ frowns and shakes his head. I sigh, furrowing my brow some. Look, I'm sorry I haven't been around this much this whole trip. I kind of regret it too. Really? The Fennec responds with a tone of feigned surprise, though when we lock eyes, she seems to waver some. She crosses her arms over her tank-topped chest, looking down, then back up again. It's okay. It's been an interesting few days for us. I raise a brow inquisitively. Yeah? Same here. Jenna smiles some in an apologetic fashion, and I move to sit next to her. TJ reaches into the bag and holds up a few bottles of condiments to us. We got jalapeno ketchup, relish, spicy mustard, and a baggie of chopped onions. Sounds delicious, TJ. Yes, I know it's spice overload, but it was to appease Leo's iron palate. Leo eats like me, apparently. Hearing his name, Leo waves at us. You know, I read an article once that people who like spicy food have masochistic tendencies. Jenna rolls her eyes, glancing to Leo, then back to me. Only you could confirm that in Leo's case. As for the article, yes, I've heard that before. It's pop psychology and based off of survey statistics. What about me? One of Leo's ears flicked to point in our direction. Shades was telling us about your masochistic tendencies. Leo stops what he's doing, looking at us with his slightly widened eyes. My what? Oh god. I cover my face with my paw. Tsk, I wouldn't say I'm into that. You shouldn't be talking about people behind their back, Shula. He says this teasingly, stretching out some aluminum foil on the grill and placing the strips of bacon on it. Someone should have told you that earlier. You've been talking about Chase non-stop this week. Leo stiffens some, then tries to laugh it off. What? Was just worried about him, you know? I mean, he looks to me. With Flynn? With Flynn being all unstable and shit? TJ flinches at the swearing. I'm surprised the Lynx was unperturbed during the masochism talk. Maybe he doesn't know what that is. I rub my arm apprehensively, peering at Jenna. What sort of stuff was he saying about me? Jenna looks in that wiry way she does when she finds herself in a position of advantage over Leo. Leo looks at her, anxious. Nothing bad, Otter. I bet my neck. Maybe it's best you two find some time to talk alone today. The Fennec looks at Leo as if having delivered an act of supreme mercy. Leo in turn looks grateful, keenly aware he has become indebted by the act. Right, we were planning on that anyway, I think. Jenna just nods. Good. You all need to stop distracting the cook here. Chase, can you... Past the sizzling of the grill, the clops of hooves on the dirt become audible. TJ cranes his neck some to peer past Leo, then smiles. Carl! And, oh, hi. Yo. Hi. Carl immediately plops himself down on the table across from me, the ram rubbing his eyes with his fists. Daxton, meanwhile, lingers at the end. His eyes are on me, as if waiting for something. Oh, hey, Daxton. I didn't know you were coming. Carl invited me. I wasn't really doing much else today. I put on a smile, but seeing the two just sort of reminds me of all last night. Good to meet you. I'm Jenna. Jenna offers a quick nod. Meanwhile, TJ seems to bolt up, offering a paw to the tall salamander. Hi, I'm TJ. It's good to meet a friend of Carl's. Daxton looks a little surprised, shaking TJ's paw before looking back at me. He still has that same expectant expression on his face. Daxton? Flynn's roommate, right? Leo strolls up beside him, spatula in grasp. I'm said roommate, yeah. Wait, you look familiar. Leo squints. You the Vespa guy? Daxton looks back towards the road. Yeah, I drive a Vespa. Why? Leo lets out a humored noise, rubbing his brow with his free paw as he grins. You came by my dad's shop about the oil leak in that thing. Daxton blinks in realization. Oh, Alvarez Auto Shop in Peyton. Yeah, I went there. That thing was a damn nightmare. At first, I thought you were just using the wrong type of oil, since that's the most common reason. People don't know they gotta use motor oil, which lathers the transmission, gears, and valves and all that. Plus, it's less thick. But the thing was still leaking. So, next I drained the overflow tube of the airbox and troubleshooted. Took me about 2 hours until I figured out that it had to do with the piston ring being worn out. Problem is, your little ride's a damn special overseas import, yeah? There's no place that has the replacement parts you needed for at least 7,000 miles. I inherited from my uncle in the old country. I guess that's why it took so long. Yeah, can't say I've ever worked on a machine like that prior to you, so thanks for the experience. Like I was saying, my dad owns the place. I'm Leo Alvarez. Leo extends out a paw, though with less gusto than TJ. Leo! I see Daxton's gaze flick to me, his lips pulling a bit tighter on his smooth face. He takes the paw, shaking it. Leo perks a brow. Judging by the look on your face, you've heard of me. A wee bit. All good, I hope. Huh? Leo smiles lopsidedly. Not really, but whatever. The response elicits a collective irk from most of us. The salamander withdraws his hand and Leo looks a little gobsmacked. Your roommate's Flynn, so I guess that's to be expected. Daxton shrugs, then moves to sit at the table next to me. Chase, if you got a minute, could we talk later? Sure. The salamander looks grateful, but doesn't elaborate further. Leo, meanwhile, stands there rotating the spatula in his paw with his eyes on the dirt. After a moment, he turns, heading back to the grill with an expression on his face that I can't quite make out. Jenna props her chin up with her paws, smiling faintly at Daxton. Wow. What? Nothing, just musing out loud. Where are you from, Daxton? The salamander rests his hands on the table, rubbing his thumbs together. I've been living here in Echo for a year or two. Before that, I was in Colville, where I grew up. Ugh. Jenna stops smiling. Colville? Really? What? What's wrong with Colville? Everything, dude. Colville. Isn't that the place where the lampposts have like the little cowboy hats on top of them? Oh yeah, they have cobblestone streets there. I went for a field trip once. That place is too rich, even for me. They put up those creepy smiling native mannequins on the sidewalks as decorations, like it isn't grossly offensive noting its history. Oh yeah, they shot that one big western film there. That one with Jack Gillyhue searching for some family's daughter that got abducted by the Meseta. The town sort of rode off at the fame of that movie for the past 40 years, from what it seems like. Daxton looks at all of us, crossing his arms tightly over his chest. It hasn't been doing all that well as it used to. Westerns aren't exactly as big as they used to be. It's kind of a shame that. It's not really a surprising note how tasteless most of them were. Carl shifts, some in his seat a bit awkwardly. TJ speaks up. Speaking of Old West stuff, how goes the project, Chase? Leo said you couldn't hang out with us because you were working on it. Jenna reaches into the back pocket and pulls out a notebook, laying it out in front of her. We were bored at the motel, so we did some research ourselves, if you want to discuss your findings, that is. I feel a little put on the spot, mainly since most of what I've done so far has been shooting B-roll. Apparently my house used to be a castle. A castle? Yeah, I looked up Carl's house at City Hall. The records show this big medieval-looking place. There was some sort of collapse in 1915. Living in a castle would be pretty cool. Not that I'd need more space, but you get what I mean. House Hendricks, Lord of Echo. I would watch that show. Would probably have too much sex and violence for you, man. I truly doubt there would be much of the former with you on it. Carl lets out a little snicker before drifting his gaze to the sizzling grill nearby. Even Daxton seems to smirk a bit. If you say so. TJ seems to flinch at the lewd talk and Jenna quickly shifts her tone. Continue, Chase. Well, that's the thing. Carl's ancestors founded the whole town, but I think Flynn's family are the ones who mainly controlled it during the 20th century. There's a ton of more names in the records for leadership positions. We were too busy making ice cream, I guess. Speaking of, I'm starving. How much longer, man? He calls out to Leo, the wolf looking over his shoulder. Unless you want your hot dogs medium rare, just a little longer, yeah? Jenna waves off the boys' banter, speaking to me again. That's strange, noting Flynn's species. Reptilians weren't readily trusted by the majority of society in this country until relatively recently. I shrug. I'm not sure whether it's relevant to what I'm trying to cover. I mean, I haven't been able to find anything about the initial 1877 hysteria incident. It's like all of those files are just gone. I pause, chewing my lower lip as I remember something. There were some legal documents I found, concerning the mine. I don't know, but go on. There was mention of some sort of messed up murder happening in the mine in 1915, somehow resulted in a riot. No mention was made of the 1877 hysteria event though. Jenna pulls her notes up, her eyes bouncing left and right as she speed reads. That's interesting. You mentioned that year earlier, 1915. The census records show that there's a large drop of population between 1910 and 1920. I couldn't find any economic justification for it, since the mine continued to operate and the railroad line still serviced Echo. Daxton holds up his hand. So sorry, I'm trying to catch up to what you guys are trying to figure out here. Are you saying that these mine murders caused Echo to lose all of its people? The correlations do not imply causation, but this is for a journalism piece, not an academic paper. Being interesting is more important than being thorough, at least these days. Your piece should be called Top 10 Reasons Echo Depopulated from Evil Mine Murder. You won't believe reason number 2. Like, there was some boobs up on the thumbnail image and posted on the Pueblo website. I frown. I'm used to hearing how the internet age has made modern journalism a sort of joke now, but it still stings. This isn't for the website or anything. This is just for a class project. Then it matters even less, dude. You're not even getting paid. Hell, you're paying them thousands. They should give you some slack. I need to build up my portfolio because right now, all of this is just fluff piece about the Pueblo GSA Pride concert. You still got a few more days, Chase. It isn't like you can't do your project and hang out with us at the same time. Daxton looks a tad hangdogged, speaking up from beside me. I hope I'm not imposing on all y'all's reunion time. I'll see what I can do, and you're fine, Daxton. The thought strikes me that tomorrow's the day Flynn plans to question TJ. I don't think anyone will be much of a hanging out mood after that. Maybe I should warn him? After yesterday, I don't know if I should give a damn about what Flynn says. But maybe that's too harsh. Maybe I just don't want to think about him right now. I hear the sound of heavy footsteps on the soil and the wafting smell of cooked meat fills my nose. Glancing up, Leo's standing over me. He holds out a pair of tongs with a plate of bacon and hot dogs. Buns and booze are in the cooler. As if rehearsed, Jenna picks up a small plastic cooler from beside the table. She rips open the packaging and distributes the buns accordingly. Is it just alcohol in there? TJ sounds disappointed. I got you some juice pouches, Teach. Don't you worry. Yay! Thank you. He smiles appreciatively. Daxton seems to peer curiously at the links before taking a hot dog from himself. Leo looks a bit reluctant towards Daxton. You guys, eat meat? Daxton's already actually covering his hot dog with ketchup. By you guys, you mean salamanders? Leo nods. I finally get a bun and begin to assemble my hot dog, wrapping it in bacon. Yep, we eat meat. My grandpa used to say that you should never trust somebody who doesn't. Carl looks up. Except for Carl. He's cool and trustworthy as hell. The ram tries to force a tofu dog into his maw to hide the big smile forming on his muzzle. So cute, Carl. Jenna looks at them curiously, waiting for TJ to finish placing relish on his cut-up, bunless hot dog. Carl swallows, speaking up finally. I guess, your grandpa's at least half wise, dude, man. Daxton shakes his head. Nah, not really. He was a major species and hated Jews. TJ chokes on his juice a little and then Jenna pats his back a few times. Whose grandpa didn't? TJ stares at them, furrow-browed and eyes wide. Mine! Boys. Jenna gives us a look, speaking in that same old maternal tone she's been using since she was 10. I merely shake my head. Leo comes around and sits at the remaining spot at the end of the table. Chase! I look up quickly, finishing my bite of bacon. That's my name. Was going to ask you earlier. I got my speaker set up, hooked up to the playlist on my phone. Pick us out some music, will you? He gestures to a pill pod looking thing with his phone sticking out near the grill. Any guidelines? Stay out of the sample music folder. He smirks. What a callback. I rise up to my feet and head over to the speaker. I pick it up and squint at the phone screen, the overhead sun casting quite a glare. I see a few playlists on there. Which one should I pick? No, I see a few playlists on there. Which one should I pick? Let's pick some chill mix. Oh god, no. Let's see what the other one is. Oh, whatever. Huh. It's summer music appropriate for spring break? Sounds kinda new agey. Wait, I actually really like this song. Good choice, Chase. You earned yourself a drink. Before I can respond, Jenna's already up on her feet. She's got 2 hard lemonades in grasp. She hands one to me. I give her a grateful nod, hitting the bottle top against the edge of the grill to get the cap off. Unfortunately, the top just shatters, splaying shattered glass on the ground. Christ! Jenna just smirks, taking a swig of her own drink. Very smooth. Well, I suppose with that little gesture, it's dancing time. I'm not sure if it's her type of music, but she begins swaying to the beat of the pop song regardless. Are you supposed to do that for a new boat? I'm still eating my hot dogs. Next thing I know, Leo's up as well, popping his shoulders up and rolling his arms. Leo used to be great at dancing, but that was when he was 4 inches shorter and 40 pounds thinner. He's kind of giving me dad at the cookout vibes, which in turn starts to give me a mild midlife crisis by proxy. TJ soon joins them, and balancing things out, the Lynx is doing some basic shuffles. I look down at my feet. Fuck it. I'm an auto-right natural entertainer. I want to dance with Carl. I'm not sure if it's exactly safe to drink out of a bottle with broken top, but I might as well try. The cuts in my throat will make the alcohol work quicker, right? I walk over to Carl, who's putting relish on what appears to be his 3rd tofu dog. He looks up, offering a quick nod. Hey, dude. Hey, man. Wanna dance? Carl looks at me with pure deadpan. He says nothing, his face completely devoid of expression. His eyes are vacant. I match the expression. We stare at each other for like about 15 seconds before Carl breaks into a laughter. I do too. That's real funny, dude. You know, I was actually being kind of serious. Pfft. The ram flubbers his lips, rotating on the bench some, that his back rests against the table portion. He pats a spot next to him with a large paw. How about we just let the physically fit have the dance floor? I take a seat beside him, quirking an eyebrow. Are you saying you're not physically fit? Carl reaches over, taking my broken bottle and replacing it with a fresh, whole one from the cooler. I'm just flattered and shit that you're taking after me for body goals. Oh my god. You've even doing the facial scruff thing. Chase, man, be honest with me. Do you believe we were born in the wrong body? That you actually should be a heavy-set cloven guy with horns? I know some forums that will help you. I look down, holding my slightly bulging stomach with my paw. Ugh, I'm good for now. I glance back up, catching sight of Carl's eyes. Wait, are you not high right now? Nope, decided to stop mixing my downers after last night. Also, was hanging out with Daxton and he kinda seemed like the straight edge type. They don't let dirtbag druggies into Ad Astra Star Academy. I'm glad you're taking your duties seriously. God, dude, whenever we were gonna get into LARPing, like we watched all those videos of people doing it online and we're so down. The memory flashes back into my mind, Carl getting his parents to buy him a bunch of foam, board, and fabric from the department store. We started to make our own swords and stuff. Oh yeah, whatever stopped that? I think you discovered what gay sex was. Oh. I frown. That was about the time Leo and I started dating, wasn't it? Leo appears to be in the midst of doing what is known as the lawnmower, while TJ and Jenna dance together by the grill. Yup. I'm silent for a moment, not sure what to say. So I say the only thing I can. I'm sorry. For what? Carl turns, setting down his tofu dog and looking at me. For ignoring you after Leo and I got together. Carl's brow raises ever so slightly, his lips purse and he looks down at his hooves. Nah, it's fine, dude. I get it. I don't really compare to that. He gestures up to Leo, who's now doing what I think Flynn once called the garden hose. If I had a super hot girlfriend, I'd ditch your aquatic ass too. There's a slight teasing tone to his voice, though the fact that it's only slight concerns me. Carl. He waves dismissively, putting on a placid smile. As we sit there in silence and drink, it feels like just an hour passes. Poor Carl. I peel a bit of wallpaper off the mantle with my thumb. Without all the furniture, the place looks much older than it actually is. I managed to get in by unlocking the front door with one of my credit cards. The deadbolt never worked, and I guess my parents didn't fix it after I left town. Everything kind of smells faintly familiar, just dustier and without my mom's burning cinnamon incense that seemed to be a constant feature in my childhood. I rest my forearms against the windowsill and let my eyes lull a bit. Otter! Leo smacks his paw on either side of the window, looking up at me from the outside with a pleased expression on his muzzle. Jesus, man! I blink. Why are you shirtless? Leo pulls back some, crossing his arms over his chest. He rolls his shoulders, a sort of indirect shrug. It was getting hot, especially with all that moving around and grilling. I give him a dubious look. Yeah, you're a hot dog, all right. The red wolf responds with a delighted smile. I harumph, trying to change gears a bit. You're not, self-conscious or anything? I mean, it isn't the height of the football season for AU anymore. I flick my gaze towards his stomach. Leo's demeanor cools, though he keeps smiling as if he's trying not to let that one set in too much. He points up towards my chin. Do you dye that? What, my goatee? Is that what you call it? Yeah. He lets out a little humored grunt. What? Seems like a lot of work for a little scruff of hair, yeah? I frown, pushing back away from the window. Leo seems to stiffen some. Hey, I'm just kidding. You look very good. Seeing you dance and all that takes me back. But you are different. He pushes his tongue against the roof of his mouth, Leo's eyes darting from side to side as he tries to find the right words. I haven't seen him like this since we were younger. I wonder if his English has been getting worse without us around. His family really only speaks the native tongue at home, and I imagine it's the same at the shop he works at. Do you mean Spanish? Thanks. I'm honestly not sure how to respond to that. What am I doing that's so different? I can't explain it. You're just you used to be, just less. I feel a sinking sensation within my chest. Leo suddenly snaps his fingers. Mellowed out. That's it. Listen, Leo, you said you wanted to talk earlier? Because if your big point is that I'm not a complete spaz anymore, I'm already aware. Leo furrows his white ridged brow. You never were a spaz, and I was getting to that. Chase? I spin around and see the familiar salamander standing anxiously behind me. Oh, hi. Hola, scooter guy. Leo leans past me and waves. Hey, got time to talk, Chase? I actually talked to Daxton before, but I kind of want to see what Leo says. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay, I understand. I suppose I'll head off then. If I don't see you again, it was good meeting you, Chase. I feel a swell of guilt built in my chest. Oh, leaving so soon? Yeah, I gotta take Carl home. I've been watching him out back and he's just been sitting by himself, not talking to anybody. I can relate. I frown, but not in understanding. I hear you. It was good meeting you too, Lieutenant Daxton. I manage a smile, and he does as well, fortunately. I'm not gonna say I'm beaming out, I'm just gonna walk away now. Of course. See ya! The salamander waves at both of us, backstepping his way to the front door. Let me come around then, yeah? Feels wrong to have to be looking up at you. Like the natural order of the universe is messed up. If you say so, be my guest. Great. Leo quickly pushes himself away from the window, darting off around the house. Here we go. Leo steps into what was the old living room, his eyes on his phone. I raise an eyebrow towards him. Something up? Pop wants me in the shop and paint in an hour from now, even though it's my day off. What the hell? I guess labor laws don't apply when it's family. Yeah, fuck it. You know me, I choose to spend time with you even if it meant getting chewed out by my parentals, any day. He shoves his phone into his pocket, smiling down at me all the while. He does enjoy the height difference, doesn't he? Something in the back of my mind seems to whisper, not as tall as Flynn, though I quickly shove that thought aside. Leo peers around, touching the faded green wood panel that surrounds the room. I remember the first time I was here, back during the Halloween of 2000. Your mom invited me over. I didn't speak a bit of English and didn't have no damn costume, but your parents thought we were friends, so I got ushered in here. Your mom cut up one of your old bed sheets and made me this ghost-looking outfit. Oh jeez, I remember that. I threw a little tantrum because apparently I like those sheets. Leo crosses his arms, grinning as he stares at the spot in the corner of the room. My Hispanic ass didn't know what the hell you guys were doing to me. I start snickering some. I thought it was like a ritual or something to steal my soul. I don't know. That was right around the time that I was learning about the devil and shit. It was just bad juju to me, all of it. He makes a little motion of crossing himself. Leo's a complete atheist nowadays, but he still has the whole cultural Catholicism ingrained in him. Oh my god, I need to find some pictures of us back then sometime. I had the biggest buck teeth, so I wanted to be a rabbit. I was too young to understand the specious implications of that idea. Leo chuckles heartedly, kicking an errant piece of wood out of the way. What did you end up being? I forget. I think I was a knight. Or a wizard. That might have been 2001. Ah, yeah, 2001. Everyone around was a soldier or commando that year because of the whole terrorist stuff. And I dressed up as a pizza. Leo laughs, wagging his finger at me and nodding. A pizza. That was the best costume. I could barely move. You kept falling over. I didn't fall over, Chula. I kept getting pushed over by Leo's cheery demeanor sombers some, and he exhales. I remember who kept pushing him over. We're quiet for some time, Leo wiping some dust off the bottom of his feet. I'd, offer you a seat in this place if I still had furniture. He waves dismissively at the offer before beginning to wring his paws together. It was always really obvious when Leo was tense or nervous growing up. His shoulders would be raised up high, and his tail had a slight curl to it. Right now, he just looks like that. Leo? Leo opens his mouth as if to say something, but doesn't. Instead, he just turns, looking back towards the corner. Leo, is everything all right? What happened to you, Chase? The question takes me off guard. I was expecting the worst, but the general nature of it has me confused. What? He turns, looking over his shoulder. Why are you doing this? Did I do something serious-like? Otter, tell me please. I don't understand. You haven't done anything wrong. Besides, bust into Flynn's place and assault him? Of course. I'd keep that to myself for now. I know what you're doing, and you know I know what you're doing. I'm not dumb, you know. I know I'm not. Everything that we had problems with in the past was because of miscommunication shit. Nothing I say is as smart as Jenna and TJ or funny as Carl and Flynn. I gotta translate everything in my head so it's just slower. Talking to me is hard, yeah? I get that. Just fucking try for me, please. Honest like too. He looks at me, his chest rising and falling with some quickened pace. I slow step to the side, resting my back against the wall and sliding down into a sitting position. I sit cross-armed and stare at the gap between my legs. You're not hard to talk to with. I am. Chase, just say it. Without thinking, I do. I had sex with Flynn. And so have you. I hear Leo take a step forward, then stop. He told you? Yeah, to get me mad. You're not on the best of terms right now, Leo. It was after you left for college, I swear on my neck. A silence falls between us. It feels like Leo is practically leering over me, but I can't muster the courage to look up. Have you had others? Yes, but nothing ever felt the same as, you know. I'm not like Flynn. I can't go to that place outside of town and just let loose. You know, I tried that and it felt so wrong and fucked up. It's not the same. What's the point of doing that shit if it's not with your love, you know? And I'm not talking about that whole cultural religious mierda where you just gotta marry and all that. Because I know how Flynn ticks, and I know how I tick. It's completely different, yeah? I hear the footboards creak beneath his feet. The wolf shifts his weight from one foot to the other. I just thought you were like me in that sort of way. For Flynn, this is nothing. This is like just some other notch on the wall. I cross my arms over my chest tightly, feeling cold sweat on my neck. You just showed up for the first time in years, and it's like you don't want nothing to do with me. I get it, you know. I'm good at sports stuff and car stuff, and none of you gave a shit about any of that, and that was fine. Just roll your eyes at Leo. I just liked having my friends around. All of them, but especially you. Another pause. You are. We were. You are like family. Hell, you can't just flick a switch and stop being family. Growing up with shit we dealt with. Leo, you've got your real family. And you know what they always ask about? You. Well, you've got Flynn and Carl still. You know how Flynn is. And Carl, he's not doing too hot. I don't know how long he'll last. How long he'll last? What the hell are you talking about? I don't know, Otter. Just look at him sometimes. Really look at him and this whole... Leo trails off in a long sigh. You all left and it was never the same. So I pretended. I remember all the stuff you used to say, even the naggy bits. I imagine you're here with me at work, talking to me while I'm fixing cars. I pretend I'm teaching you about the basics, like changing oil or replacing headlights. I know it's not riveting stuff, but it's all good because you love me, and I love you too. Then I drive home, listening to whatever's on the radio, and I imagine you reacting to it. Groaning every time the word truck is mentioned in a country song or making some snide-ass remark about the political ads. When I get home, I go online and there's this pulling in my chest, like a dread, you know? I click on the social media shit and it's you. The real you. And you're different. You're wearing new shirts, hanging with new friends, drinking fancy college beers, and it feels like I'm losing you all over again. So I just avoid it. I pretend. I pretend that we're drinking together on the patio as the sun goes down. I pretend that you're watching me play my games. And I pretend at night that pillow I've got in my arms wrapped around is you. Making your little noises you do when I ruffle your head or squeeze you. Leo chuckles bittersweetly, the gravity of his words seeming to take hold now that he's actually said them out loud. Jesus, Leo. A week ago you showed up outside my window. The sky was red. You said, hey. Leo, what are you talking about? Were you there, Chase? His tone is strange, almost without inflection. Leo, I don't know what you mean. I wasn't here last week. Next thing I know, he's stepping closer towards me. He stops, then lowers himself into a sitting position against the wall. The wolf's arms stretch around my torso and pull me against his side. I don't know what the right thing would be to do here. Because I know how Leo is. If you were to hug him, it would be like you're implying something. But if you do nothing, it might be worse, but at the same time, it would be sort of like confirming what, what should be painfully obvious at this point. But I do feel bad for him. God damn it. I've hugged Leo more times in my life than I could ever count. I don't think he'll ever need one as much as he does now. I embrace him, letting my head rest against my shoulder. He puts more weight on me and I have to prop myself up to keep from falling over. He's so heavy now. With how rough this week has begun to turn, I kind of need this a little too. I hear him clearing his throat. Things aren't great here, Chula. I was trying to act like they were, but you know now. I just know if you were here, I could protect you and the things would be better. Leo, that might not be true, and I don't need protecting. Leo says nothing. The minutes pass, and I hear TJ talking excitedly about something out in the backyard, with Jenna chiming in occasionally. Finally, Leo pulls back. He looks at me as if about to ask a question, but seemingly decides he doesn't want to know the answer. So, this is pretty something, yeah? I rub my paw against my forehead. Not as pretty something as your fake me pillow you sleep with at night. I expect Leo to laugh at that, but he just peers at me with a sort of melancholy smile. Yeah. He pushes himself to his feet, dusting off the back of his pants. Let me know if you need help with the project or anything. I'll be around. Okay, but hey. His tail perks up some, the wolf turning to look down at me. You should see somebody. I mean, about what you just told me. It never worked for you, Otter. I sigh. Yeah, but it could for you. Leo shrugs. Maybe. I'll see you later. He gives me his best reassuring smile before heading outward, running his paws along the walls as he leaves. After a while, I stand as well. I notice something odd sitting on the top of the water heater. Curious, I pick it up. Oh. I never knew Mom framed this. This is from high school, I think, senior year. She always wanted a picture of the two of us. I always thought it was kind of weird with how okay my parents were with us being together. I remember after they found out that I was gay, I thought that things would be ruined, and I wouldn't be, normal. Then they sent me a voicemail saying that they loved me and that it didn't really matter. Your happiness is priority number 1. I wonder if they forgot this during the move. Though, I guess this is kind of a weird picture. I wouldn't be surprised if they left it on purpose. I haven't talked to them much lately. I should go. I step outside. The air is kind of hazy and the smell of hot dogs is pretty palpable. I look over across the yard. TJ and Jenna are sitting at the table. TJ's munching down on his third helping of cut-up hot dogs, while Jenna sits up on top with her feet hanging off the side. It's kind of funny how small she is, like she never grew up past the age of 13. My mind drifts back to the other Fennics in the smoke room. They all kind of had youthful appearances to them. I wonder if that's a part of the appeal. I'm surprised you were so comfortable walking around in there. I glance over my shoulder, looking back at the rather warm house. Huh? Why? The spiders. You're still afraid of them, right? I had been trying not to think about that the whole time, actually. It felt like there were lots of them in the house, even when I lived there, and that was with my parents bug bombing the place every month. I resist the urge to reach down and rub my feet in case there are any walking around in my fur. Not like deathly. I cross my arms over my chest, tugging some at the fabric of my shirt. Right, of course. TJ snickers some. Jenna pulls out her phone, beginning to tap away at the digital keypad. By the way, we found something else that might help you with your project. Oh? It's in my purse. Could you grab it? Sure. What is it? Jenna doesn't answer, continuing her texting. TJ, meanwhile, seems to be grinning at his empty ketchup-covered plate. Jenna? I move over to her purse, unbuttoning the main flap. I've always been a bit weary about going through the girls' purses for obvious reasons. The first thing I notice, though, is a piece of folded paper with Chase written in all caps on top. It looks like there's something wedged inside of it as well. Curiously, I pull back the top of the paper and feel something fuzzy against my paw pads, then a bristling sensation. Then, prodding things tickle the tips of my fingers. I squeeze one and yank it up. Dangling before me is an orange and black tarantula, its limbs bouncing from the sudden pull of the force. Jesus fuck! I toss it back down to the dirt, it seeming to bounce right back up and land sideways on my foot. I scramble back, kicking at it with as much force as I can muster. Shit! My chest heaves and I feel like my heart is about to burst from my chest. The tarantula doesn't move, and that's when I realize TJ and Jenna are grinning at me. Jenna has her phone pointed in my direction. Jesus, she's filming this. Language, it's just rubber, Chase. That. I point at the limp 8-legged thing that's now 3 yards away, stuck in a patch of goat head brambles. That's not funny. It is, actually. Aw, I'm sorry, Chase. It was Jenna's idea. It was 99 cents at the gas station we stopped back into Canyons. Ugh, no wonder you two wouldn't let me see what you bought. Did you guys actually have anything for me? Regarding my project? TJ begins to look even more guilty. Jenna sets her phone down and goes about reclasping her purse. Not really, Chase. As you said, there wasn't much information about the 1877 happenings. Most search results directed us towards dubious ghost hunting websites with no source veracity that could be utilized in a formal report. Well, I sigh, tilting my sideways tail and feeling calmed down once again. Was there anything that could be used in a non-formal report? The Fennec cocks her head, her eyes seeming to look right through me as she thinks, before meeting my gaze once again. What do you want to know more about? The UFO spotted over Echo Canyon by a group of night hikers? The Meseta ghost woman who wanders around the edge of the res, seducing men before impaling them with branches of mesquite trees? Or perhaps the Mothman who now appears to have been seen by a driving semi-truck down Route 93 at midnight? Maybe he needed a side job. The economy has been tough lately. I let out an exasperated noise. Okay, I get your point. Although, there were a lot of mentions of riots here. That includes the happenings in 1915 as well as others unsourced stuff about violence after World War II. It's just a general perception that we were all a bunch of desert malcontents living in some sort of Sodom and Gomorrah style situation for a century. Sounds about right. We even had a famous brothel that served all the miners in the area. A brothel? I look at TJ, who's frowning acknowledgingly. Does he really not know? It's a place where they make broth and other types of soup. I know what a brothel is. Jenna merely smirks and shakes her head. It was called the smoke room. Wait, what? I tense up and they seem to notice. Chase, is something wrong? The smoke room. Yeah? That still exists. I was there last night. You went to a brothel last night? Jenna says this less as a question and more of a deadpan matter of fact. What? No, I was there, this bar that Flynn went to. It's right north of the reservation. There's no sign for it or anything. It's just like some sort of gay bar. A gay bar? In this county? At least that's what it seems like it was. I shrug, trying to phrase it as carefully as I can without going into too much detail. Everything smelled like cigarettes and there was like this really shady back room that they called the smoke room. That's... Jenna presses her knuckles to her lower lips, seemingly in thought. She glances up towards me for a moment. Interesting. With that look, I regret bringing it up already. Jenna seems to be maintaining this sort of intrigued expression. I begin bracing for any follow-up questions. What sort of music did they play there? Surprisingly, TJ is the first to speak. I don't see any sign of judgment on his face either, just genuine curiosity. It was kind of weird actually. It was this sort of droning, bassy synth stuff. Really? Yeah, I never heard anything like it. It was kind of loud too. I'm not sure why you're asking. It's TJ's turn to shrug. Just curious. So, you went to a gay bar with Flynn named after an old, famous brothel? I exhale, resting my paws on the edge of the table. It's not like that. Like what? Daxton, Carl, and I followed him after he left us in the middle of hanging out last night. But he I think he was trying to invite me to come along with him, in his own sort of way. He left his phone behind with just one text message on it with the address. I think he wanted to see if I was interested enough to snoop through his phone instead of outright inviting me. It's hard to explain. Oh no, I completely understand. That sounds quite like Flynn. Very non-committal and giving himself something that he can hold against you, if he needs to protect himself from having any semblance of vulnerability. Jenna rubs the bridge of her small nose, still seemingly frustrated with Flynn's behavior. She reaches down, picking up a paper plate from beside her and shoves it into the plastic bag. I'm ready to head out to the motel. Chase, are you coming? Oh, sure. TJ begins clearing up as well, moving to drag the picnic table back into the appropriate yard. I help. And that's actually where I'm going to leave it for today. Because this episode has gone on for way too long. But yeah, well, that was an interesting episode. Technically speaking, I recorded some of that choice where you decide to just go with it at the smoke room. And let's just say I wouldn't be able to post it on YouTube, despite some of the other stuff that I've posted from the other visual novels. But, yeah. I mean, if you can play Echo yourself and just get to that part with Flynn, and the link's right in the description. But, you have to be over 18. Anyways, but yeah, that was definitely something. And that whole emotional moment with Leo too, which actually I didn't know about, but I did see some other place. Anyways, thank you for listening, and hopefully we will continue this tomorrow. I actually haven't edited the previous episode, which I'm gonna start right now, and this one's gonna go the day after, so this one will probably be out Saturday, and the other one would hopefully be out today. So yeah, thank you for listening, and bye-bye.